Coming up on Sports Talk, a Cedar Falls graduate is making a name for himself playing football in the SEC. We'll bring you an update on the career of Ross Pierschbacher. And the MVC All-Conference selections are in for baseball and softball. We'll show you what Tigers were selected. All that coming up next in Sports Talk. Welcome to Sports Talk. I'm Denny Bowman. Well, it's August. That means it's time to start thinking football. For Ross Pierschbacher, he thinks football just about every day. Ross is a 2014 Cedar Falls graduate, entering his junior season on the field for Coach Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Go big or go home.
For Ross Pierschbacher, that has been his motto.
I'd say probably elementary school. I kind of had that in my head when I was the bigger kid that I wanted to, be playing on Saturdays.
Ross was a starting offensive lineman for the Holmes Tigers 8th grade football team in 2009. That team also included a future UNI Panther, Jared Farley. But after he finished his 8th grade year at Holmes Junior High, he had no idea what the next year would bring.
I believe that summer, ahead of his freshman year, and he was going to a camp up at UNI. I believe it was Mitch called and said, hey, you need to go watch this kid in camp. You need to evaluate whether or not he was good enough to be brought up. I remember the first one-on-one he went, he got his helmet turned on his head a little bit, I think he pushed down his nose a little bit. There's a little bit of water under his eye, and I kind of walked over to him, suggested maybe he take a break, and I turned around and he was up there about 3 snaps later, and the kid that turned his helmet, I think, got a little payback. So obviously he's very competitive, and that's what stuck out. And certainly that was my report back to the coaches. He can definitely play at that level because he was ready to compete with those bigger, older kids right then.
Coach Mitch, Coach Remmert, and myself, we set in, we went to Mr. Welter's office, and we probably had an hour-long meeting just as far as, is this the best thing for Ross? Is he ready for it? There's going to be a lot of different, it's a different level from what 9th grade football would be.
And I was like, there's no way. I'm not ready for that. And I'd never touched a weight before. My dad didn't want me to lift weights until I was going into my 9th grade year. So I was, didn't think I was ready. And I was contemplating with my friends kind of for a few days there, should I stay and play with them or go up and do this? And I think I made up my mind at one point and was telling all my friends that I was going to stay and play with the 9th graders. And so I was doing that, and I talked to my dad about it and told him that. And he's like, well, I think you should really reconsider. And he kind of, I think, pushed me into doing it. And 8th grade kid going into 9th grade, I think he was probably, knew what was best for me in the long run. So I'm thankful for that.
Pierschbacher became the first and only player in Tiger football history to be moved up as a freshman. He started every game over 4 seasons.
He had a phenomenal career, and it was one of those things that I don't know if we'll ever have another freshman that gets moved up, or it could be quite some time before that ever happens again.
He was just kind of a rare big dude as a 9th grader, and obviously had a great skill set. His first freshman game, the next day we're in film session, and I go, well, what'd you think last night? He goes, oh, it's pretty good. I go, a lot different 9th grade football, huh? And his response was, I don't know, I never played 9th grade football.
He started 49 games for us, and that's unheard of, 49 varsity games. I think he started 13 playoff games for us. So he had one of the all-time great careers at Cedar Falls High School.
Ross was also a talented basketball player. This video from his freshman year at Holmes Junior High shows Pierschbacher's athleticism went well beyond the football field.
I feel like we usually start off slow in the first half. And it kind of showed today. We were a little slow on defense and just helping out.
His strength and physical ability earned him a spot on the Tiger track team his freshman year as well. That year, Pierschbacher qualified for state in the shot put, finishing 7th. And tallying points for the Tigers as Cedar Falls claimed the 2011 Class 4A State Track Championship. By Pierschbacher's sophomore year, football coaches across the country were noticing there was something special about number 71.
Ross Pierschbacher come up with a great block on that play on the linebacker.
The unique thing about Ross is he I think my perspective is always wanted to be a lineman. I mean, but not just wanted to be a lineman. I mean, he wanted to hone the craft. I remember him and his dad, he went to a camp and they called me and I came over and we visited for a little bit. Well, I think it was maybe after his sophomore year, and suddenly he wanted to work on a left-handed stance, which usually when you're working with kids in high school, you're trying to just get them so that they can walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. And here he is, a big physical right-handed kid. Well, I want to work on my left-handed stance so I can play both sides and all that. As you get into the colleges, the guys that play on the left put their left hand down, and well, he wanted to do that early. You know, and we talked about it for about 15 minutes, and then he went out in his yard, and by the time the season started, he had it figured out. I mean, he could go left, right, he could do all those things, and you would think he was almost a natural at being a lefty, so that's what stood out.
Over Ross's career at CF, he led the way for Parade All-American Barkley Hill, Jake Buck, and Eli Beauregard as the team rushed for more than 11,000 yards over the 4 seasons. Pierschbacher was named a Des Moines Register Elite All-State Performer his sophomore, junior, and senior seasons, on his way to becoming a 4-star prospect. During his junior year, he committed to Iowa, fulfilling a lifelong dream.
It was always my dream to play for Iowa, and I remember telling like my buddies, you know, when I was in 2nd, 3rd grade, you know, I want to play for Iowa. We'd watch the games. We'd all get together, you know, with the neighborhood kids and all the families, and we'd watch the Iowa games every Saturday. And I think, you know, that was kind of when I was like, I want to be an offensive lineman, because I always been a bigger kid and play for Iowa. And so I remember saying that, and then I remember I got my offer from Iowa when I was a sophomore. And my buddy called me and he's like, you know, I always laughed at you when you said you wanted to play for Iowa, but you know, now it's actually happening.
After Ross's senior season, he was named a Parade Magazine All-American and was selected to play in the Under Armour All-American game.
When I committed, I knew some other kids that had already committed to the game, and they just kind of talked me into it, and I wanted to play against the best, and it sounded like a lot of fun.
Anything you told him, anything you adjusted, anything you changed, he had it. He very, very rarely made a mental mistake. He was just always consistent. He had a lot of good games, a lot of great games, but never bad games or even bad series. He just didn't have it.
Yeah, just to kind of get that first taste of what college football is going to be like. I mean, high school, you know, you're kind of the bigger kid, and all these kids were 4 or 5-star recruits and had offers to go anywhere they wanted. So just to be around that and kind of see where you're at and have a measure before you really kind of step on your own campus of where you're at as a football player. So it was a big honor and something that I'm proud to say.
The general thing was he was one of the top 1 or 2 linemen in that camp, and which was saying an awful lot because there was nothing but great players. I mean, truly great players.
See number 71, Alabama commit Ross Pierschbacher.
When Ross changed his commitment from Iowa to Alabama in his senior season, some doubted that Pierschbacher could ever play at that level.
I knew that coming in that it was going to be tough to, you know, even see the field. And, you know, there'd been some people saying, you know, you're never going to play, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of used that as, you know, fuel to the fire of showing them and proving other people wrong.
I think that really motivated him. I mean, there were a lot of those comments where, you know, have fun, you know, standing on the sidelines or riding the pine and stuff like that. You'll never see the field. And I think that just really motivated him that much more to really prove him wrong.
I wanted to go to a place like Alabama where, you know, there was great, you know, other recruits and other players there, and I was going to have to bust my butt to, you know, try to get on the field.
After redshirting his first season at Alabama, Ross worked his way into the starting position by the first game of his freshman year in 2015.
I think to start as a redshirt freshman, you know, that was kind of my goal going into that season after, you know, I redshirted the first year on campus, just to start. And, you know, I thought it was kind of a long shot at first, and then I was kind of rotating there, and I started, you know, in the spring and going into fall camp and just never let up that spot. So, you know, I was pretty proud of that as well.
In Ross's redshirt freshman season, Alabama claimed the SEC title and went on to win the national championship with a win over Clemson, 45-40.
I just think, you know, for that to be how my first year of starting to go is to win the national championship was just awesome and something that, you know, my family just loved, and just a great experience and something that I'll remember for the rest of my life and be able to tell, you know, my future kids and all the families and stuff growing up, and you know, just to have like the ring and all the memorabilia from it, and I mean, it's pretty special. So not a lot of people can say that they started on a national championship team.
Pierschbacher started all 15 games as a freshman and blocked for the 2015 Heisman Trophy winner Derrick Henry. Alabama's offensive line was named the top O-line in the country, winning the Joe Moore Award. Ross and the rest of the line recreated the pose of the trophy to celebrate the honor.
In 2015, the year we won the national championship, we had a Heisman running back who we blocked for, which was pretty special to us. You know, it speaks a lot to the offensive line to have your running back win the Heisman. And then it was the first year for them to come out with the offensive line award. We won that as the best offensive line in the country, and you know, that meant a lot to us, and it was just kind of gratifying because, you know, offensive line don't get a lot of praise and whatnot. So for us to be marked as the best offensive line unit, and that was pretty special to me to know that I was a part of that.
In Pierschbacher's sophomore year, Alabama needed to replace a senior QB and a Heisman Trophy running back. In all, a record 10 players from Bama were drafted into the NFL. With a target on their backs and a freshman quarterback leading the charge, the Tide rolled to an undefeated season at 13-0, along with another SEC title. Alabama won the college football playoff semifinal over Washington to set up a title rematch with Clemson.
All the way to the end zone. Touchdown, Bama.
But a last-second TD pass by Clemson's Deshaun Watson crushed Alabama's quest of back-to-back titles.
You know, we always like to, you know, kind of put the blame on us that, you know, we didn't play our best game, and, you know, we didn't get beat, we just beat ourselves. So that's what Coach Saban likes to tell us, and so, you know, we really kind of take that to heart and hopefully grow from, you know, a situation like that and learn and move forward and try to, you know, do better next time. So we'll see coming this season.
Now Pierschbacher has his mind on the upcoming season at Alabama and helping the Crimson Tide win another national championship. As a sophomore, Ross was named second-team All-SEC by the Associated Press.
In the clear and in the end zone again.
On the left side by Ross Pierschbacher. The timing, it takes patience. There's the initial block. Watch Pierschbacher get a block up here to that second level on Ben Boulware. There's Ridley.
You know, all the accolades and whatnot are great, but at the end of the day, it's just me trying to get better and better, and kind of, you get this award, but you're striving for the next one. You know, it's like, well, this happened, but now you know, I feel like I've never arrived. And I think that's what's, you know, contributed to a lot of the success is, you know, some guys will get this award and then they'll be happy and kind of complacent and just think that they can relax. But for me, it's like, all right, what next? I mean, you know, this happened, but I can do better. I can, you know, play better in a game, have a better play right here. You know, I messed up here. So I think it's always just continually trying to grow and become a better player and person as well.
Now, in his junior season, Ross Pierschbacher has his sights set on another national championship. Pierschbacher is also preparing himself for football at the next level and positioning himself for the NFL draft. In the past 2 seasons, 17 of his teammates at Alabama have been selected in the NFL draft. Only one Cedar Falls Tiger football player has ever been selected in the NFL draft. Pierschbacher says he has always had a vision to play at that next level. That drive and motivation to get better and excel has come from within. He shares that story with younger players at Cedar Falls when he comes back and visits coaches and future CF Tigers in the weight room.
Our kids love it when he comes back into the weight room and they see him. You know, they see him in the weight room with some of our other former players. We love when they come back and work out around our kids, but because it gives our kids motivations. Hey, I know there's an opportunity. At some point, maybe I can do something like that, whether it's at an Alabama or at a college, just to go on and play and be successful.
Every year since he's been here, there's a couple of kids that, did you coach that Ross? And they start to say Pierschbacher, and they don't quite get it right, but they all want to know about Ross Pierschbacher, the kid from Alabama. So that's pretty cool.
You know, I'm just grateful for, you know, a place like Cedar Falls where I grew up at, and just, you know, all the stuff that it gave back to me in my life. And so yeah, I just think that really I just try to, you know, have a good name for myself and my family. I mean, you know, Pierschbacher, that's what people see on the jersey, and, you know, I don't want people seeing anything in the news, you know, where nowadays that stuff kind of tends to happen. So, you know, as far as younger kids growing up, I just tell them, you know, really anything's possible. And I think growing up and going through high school, you know, there's a lot of stuff that you can do, a lot of different paths you can go down. But, you know, for me, it was always, my dream was to play, you know, college football and then in the NFL eventually. So I think that was what really kind of motivated me. You know, I'd get up and go work out before school every day and stuff like that. And just, I think I had that in the back of my mind. And just staying away from distractions of, you know, friends are going to go down different paths, but just kind of staying on the straight and narrow and just not wanting to let anyone down.
The young people around here look up at that and see that, and he's a pretty good role model for them to look at.
Pierschbacher remembers the coaches at Cedar Falls who gave him a chance and helped him develop his abilities, including Brad Remmert and Ken Koltoff, as well as legendary coach Pat Mitchell.
He was, you know, the best coach that I've ever had, and he just was a mentor to you. You know, he was really a player's coach, like they like to say, and was just always there for the players, always wanted what, you know, was in for our best interest. And I mean, back in my apartment down in Alabama, I've still got a picture, his sister, Drew, and it was of me playing at Alabama, and it was a picture of him in the background too. And I've got that, and I've got his, you know, a card from him. I put it in my bathroom. So, I mean, he's all around, and I think he's just still here watching over us and just trying to make him proud and play for him as well. So I think he'd be proud. I mean, they mean, you know, the whole world to me. I mean, just growing up, I'd, you know, go to the games on Fridays and watch Cedar Falls and just look up to those guys and think, you know, one day I want to be able to start for, you know, Cedar Falls and run out in that tunnel. And it just, you know, means the world to me. And I still keep in contact with all those guys. And like I said, when I come back, I'll go into the weight room and, you know, say hi to the kids and work out and hang out with the coaches and whatnot. So, I mean, they gave me the chance to, you know, and had faith in me to move me up as a freshman. So, you know, that says a lot about, you know, what they think of me and what I think of them. Is just, you know, just grateful for them giving me that opportunity. And they were always supportive in high school of me, you know, trying to get better and better.
This fall, as he begins his junior season on the field, Ross also begins his first year as a graduate student in marketing. On college football Saturdays, Ross and the Crimson Tide have a lot of followers back in Cedar Falls. But for Ross, his biggest fan is his dad, who's been there from the beginning.
I think I, you know, look up to him the most. I just aspire to be like a, you know, guy like him. He's just always been the nicest person and most genuine. So I think that's where I kind of strive to, you know, be as successful as I possibly can, to just try to make him proud. And I think that's where I get my biggest, you know, gratification out of him, and not the awards or anything like that, but just, you know, seeing him smile and come down to all my games and enjoy that. And I think, you know, that just means a lot to me. It means more than anything else, really.
It's been a great ride, you know, as far as, I remember that first time when he came out starting, and they put on the big Trinitron as far as the pictures, you know, who's starting and stuff like that. It just gives you chills. Or they have a walk of champions where he comes down, and every time it just really, you know, tugs at you, and it's like, you know, it's pretty cool.
Pierschbacher was recently named preseason All-SEC by the media of the Southeast Conference. Alabama has a record 10 first-team selections, with 4 on offense, 5 on defense, and 1 special teams player. Ross has his eyes on an undefeated season and another national championship this year, with the NFL as a goal down the road. Best of luck to Ross Pierschbacher and his Alabama teammates this season. If you're thinking of taking a road trip to see Ross in action this season, here's a quick look at that Alabama football schedule. And while we're on the topic of all-conference teams, the Mississippi Valley Conference recently released the all-conference teams for both baseball and softball. The Cedar Falls Tiger baseball team finished the season at 18-18 in a solid Valley division of the MVC. The Tigers lost 9 of their last 11 games after a very solid start. Austin Marchesani was named second-team Valley division as a pitcher. Marchesani was 4-4 with a 2.01 ERA with 49 strikeouts and only 8 batters walked. Casey Soley and Connor Schultz were honorable mention selections. Casey Soley is just a sophomore and led the Tigers with a .333 batting average and 5 home runs. Connor Schultz hit .312 with 3 dingers. Schultz led the team with 29 RBIs and 6 triples. Marchesani, Schultz, and Kane Fairman were selected to the all-academic team. The Cedar Falls Tiger softball team was once again very young and finished the season with 5 wins. Sophomore Kara Forsblom was selected to the MVC Valley Division second team. Forsblom led the team with a sizzling .357 average and 10 RBIs. Brianna Speck and Lily Becker were honorable mention selections. Speck hit .349 and Becker's average was .313. Taya Tournier and Megan Keogh were all academic selections for the Tigers. Congratulations to all of these Tigers for all of their hard work on the field and in the classroom. That's a wrap for Sports Talk. I'm Denny Bowman. Thanks for watching, and go Tigers.
Man, what a great day for golf, huh, Schnack? Look at these partly cloudy skies.
I'm sure you meant to say partly sunny.
No, no, no. I've been at this a lot longer than you have. This is partly cloudy.
Whether it's partly cloudy or partly sunny, it's a great day to golf at Pheasant Ridge and Walters Ridge in Cedar Falls.
Partly cloudy.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.